I'm going to let you drive this one. You know these folks a little better than I do.
All right.
So. We'll all get to know each other by
we
the
will.
end.
Oh, we will. Oh, we will.
Nice. Well, we're live. Skye, Brian, so good to see you again. It's been a couple of years.
It has been too long. It is great to be with you. Great to be on this podcast. We are big fans.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. That's nice.
That's very nice.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, welcome. We had some guys in earlier, North Carolina Firefighters
Association.
Yep. And they were pumped up on some recent actions, legislative. What's going on?
Yeah, so the House budget just passed yesterday, and it includes presumptive cancer for firefighters. And our cancer legislation here in North Carolina is actually what I would consider, and I have been touting, not because I wrote it, but because I think it is the gold standard across the country for what we would provide our firefighters. That's
exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, we got to give a shout out while we're here to Majority Leader John Bell. He is in charge of the House Republican Caucus. He's down in Wayne County. He stood up, amended the bill Wednesday afternoon, moved $15 million for us into this fund that we're creating for firefighters. It couldn't be prouder to work with him. You know, Scott Mullins, president, PFF-PNC, Josh Smith over there as well, just really giving us the marching orders to go in and get this done. And John Bell just rose to the challenge this week, and can't thank him enough.
We also have a couple other pieces in the budget that maybe we should touch on as well. Adding some additional line of duty death cancers, 2 additional cancers in the state budget, and adding PTSD benefits. Those also are in the House budget. So a ton of stuff for firefighters in the House budget. The budget process isn't done yet, so there's still about a month left, but we'll keep folks informed.
Yes, it's nice to see the steps. I came up and worked with you guys a little bit, and to get behind something and to feel the want, it's pure, the motives are in the right spot. And then to run into a wall and it hurts, and then to now hear that things are moving, that feels good.
It does. We had to compromise, on the legislation. The House has always been with us 100%, whether it's PTSD, cancer, separation allowance. We were getting this hang up over on the Senate side because they didn't want to deal with the workers' comp issue. There are other interests out there, whether it's the retail merchants or the big insurance industry. I mean, it was firefighters versus big insurance. And so we had to compromise this year and say, okay, we're not going to go the workers' comp route. And House Chairman Jason Sain, who is a volunteer firefighter down in Lincoln County, he's the chief budget writer in the House, said, you know what? This is the year. We got some surplus. Let's move $15 million over and let's just fund it. Don't even worry about workers' comp. And so in many ways, it is a compromise, but in some ways I think it's kind of better. You don't have to deal with, the workers' comp system.
Right.
You don't have to go see their doctor when you're on the workers' comp system. So in so many ways, it's going to be cleaner, I think, for firefighters.
Yeah, the Firemen's Association earlier, I was asking that. They said they weren't quite clear on all the rules and stuff like that, but the sounds like the clarity comes from the question I asked him was, is it going to have to be tied back to work-related, or how are they going to justify the funding for it? And he said there's just no questions asked. And to me, that the clarification comes from the fact that it's being funded separately from workers' comp. Because workers' comp's where you got to fall in one of these categories, or they just don't pick you up.
Yeah,
so.
And unfortunately, they're not picking you up now.
Right.
I mean, for those of you who are new to this issue, a firefighter right now who gets diagnosed with cancer has to essentially prove which fire in his or her career gave them the cancer. Now, it's impossible, and it's a fool's errand to even try. So this is going to have that presumption in it. The only difference between our old bill and this bill is who's funding it. It's the state of North Carolina taxpayer versus the workers' comp system.
Also, I just want to note that it isn't tied to the CDC cancers. It's not tied to our line of duty death benefit cancers. It's any cancer. So you don't have to have a certain cancer that is tied back to the fire service. It's any cancer. You get that presumption.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
incredible.
That is
Yeah.
it's a big time win.
Yeah.
Also just shouting out to these legislators, we have heard from so many firefighters across the state affected by cancer, not only the firefighters, but widows calling legislators, lending their name, lending very tragic stories, like Will Willis up in Asheville died at age 33 on his birthday, was emaciated down to what looked to me under 100 pounds. And this guy, Scott Mullins tells the story. He didn't have a lot of money at the end because it cost a lot of money. You got to take time off of work to fight cancer. And, they put Willis, he was an engineer up there, they put him in a pine box at the end. And so just being able to tell that story, and firefighters just opening up, we are not firefighters, you guys are firefighters. Right. I know you talk about this on the podcast a lot, especially when we're talking about mental health stuff, but firefighters opening up and telling their story to the public is really key to driving what we were able to do this past Wednesday. And we got to really hit the gas and continue to tell that story on the Senate side. There are some senators who have been affected by cancer. Bill Rabin is a cancer survivor, stage 3, beat it 20 years ago. Senator Kathy Harrington, her husband, just got diagnosed with cancer. She's the majority leader down in Gaston County. And, we got to relate to these people. We got to tell them the story because they know what we're going through if we tell them.
For our listeners, how do y'all tie in with the fire service? I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that don't have any idea about Brian and Skye, New Frame, or any of that stuff. So how do y'all tie in?
Yeah, so about 6 years ago, we met Dave Coker in Greensboro, got to meet Scott and Josh, and there was a transition going on at the professional firefighters and paramedics of North Carolina, and they wanted to hire a lobbying team to help represent their interests. And they were new leaders into the association, really wanted to take the association, I believe, in a different way. I think they'd say that. The organization prior to 2015 might have been associated with one political party over the other, and they wanted to, do it differently. They wanted to reach out to Republicans. That Republicans were in charge. So we had a couple conversations with them, and actually we were working on this issue. This was the first issue.
Yeah.
A bill had been filed by Representative John Hardister in Greensboro. Dave Coker and Justin Price and Vinnie Messina were working really closely with John Hardister and sat down and just talked about a path of getting this passed. We met with Speaker Moore and kind of went out to lunch, and we had never fought a fire, never had the honor of doing the work that you do every single day. But I'd had some experience working with employee associations in North Carolina, and I told the guys, like, look, if you want to, we got to meet Republicans halfway. Are they going to be in support of everything that we stand for, meaning kind of those big, maybe union issues? No, that's a non-starter. But if you guys want to sit down with John Bell and talk about cancer, you want to talk about why a firefighter should not be riding the back of a truck at age 65 because he can't or she can't afford to retire, we can have those conversations. And so we've been doing this since 2015, and I tell you, it's been the honor of my life to represent you. And I know Skye's saying.
So what we do specifically is that we learn about your issue as lobbyists. We learn about your issues, and the firefighters have about 5 or 6 issues that we really have to learn about and then be able to tell that story to legislators on behalf of you, in conjunction with you. Y'all know firefighters love coming to the legislative building and talking to their legislators, but when you're not there, if there is a fire issue, they rely on us. If they have an issue in their district, let's say any issue, they'll come to us and say, I have this issue, about the fire service, and then we connect them to whoever that is. So we're kind of that in between you and the legislature.
And we really want firefighters to send the message. So we can work on drafting the language, and Skye is so talented at taking what you need and putting it into that legislation that's crafted. We advise Scott and Josh on, look, I think this is the route to take. Let's go the budget route this year. I don't think workers' comp is going to work. We need to try something else. But we love it when firefighters get down there, especially when they show up in those Class A uniforms. I mean, we can shut down a committee. Everyone stops and they just see our firefighters marching in. And we know not every municipality allows that. You can buy a Class A uniform now from PFF-PNC, so you can get around that whole municipal rule you may have, because when they show up in those dark blues and that white shirt, and it gets the attention of legislators. And I have seen, as much as I like to think Skye and I are important, and I think we are, but the most important lobbyist for firefighters is firefighters.
That's a pretty powerful statement.
It is. And we need you. The Senate, just give a little context here. The budget now is going over to the Senate. The Senate's going to vote Monday night to reject the entire document that was passed on Wednesday. And that's just a ceremonial thing. They do it every year. What that means is senators are going to put their negotiating team together. The House will put their budget negotiating team together. And John Bell, by the way, and Jason Saint will be on that team. They're going to go behind closed doors. And over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to see a final budget come out. We think by September 15th. We've really got to hit those senators. Skye and I are already having some conversations, but we just put the newsletter out a couple hours ago, and Josh wrote he was quoted in it as, we've got to get firefighters down there at the General Assembly. But just as importantly, if you don't want to come to Raleigh, invite a senator to your firehouse and sit around like the four of us are talking right now and just lay it out why this legislation is so important.
Every elected official knows that they're elected by firefighters. They'll tell you that. They know that you will turn out numbers for them, and because of that, they know that they are dedicated to you as well, and that's something that is just nice to have in your back pocket.
Senator Todd Johnson told us this. He filed a cancer legislation bill this session. And he told us for every one firefighter he can get to vote for him, and he's a Republican down in Union County, he knows he gets 8 votes attached to that. It could be a wife or a husband, it could be kids, it could be neighbors. They know that it's a multiplier by 8, their estimation. I'll take it.
How about that?
For every firefighter, they know they can get 8 votes, and that's a good reminder when you're inviting them into the firehouse.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Man, from our side to you guys, thank you.
I appreciate it.
We get that you're doing a job, but it's like the guy that's in charge of our customer service for this booth. Yeah. He's so good at his job, and it's nice to meet people that it's not just a job. Like, we can tell that you're passionate about it, and we feel it. The people listening can see it and can feel it, and thank you.
Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate all that you do. Station 5 in Cary on High House Road. Shout out to those guys. Those guys come to our neighborhood. They can be there in 2 minutes or less.
Right.
And every time I hear that siren, I can hear it from my house. I just know that you guys are going into harm's way. I know that, whether it's a fire or a medical emergency, which, by the way, is something else we've been having to talk to legislators about. And I love this podcast, again, and the conversation you had with Matt Balance over not just the fires you see, but the medical calls you do and the frequent flyers. You are on the front line of healthcare. I know if I was to fall out right here, well, chances are you guys would take care of me, but let's just say I'm out on the street. Chances are I'm going to be looking at a firefighter when my eyes open up, and I just appreciate everything you do. You put your life on the line. You put your health on the line. We know that you're more likely to get cancer than a smoker, and I just appreciate it. My family appreciates it, and we are honored to just be associated with you.
Don't you guys have some kind of show or something going on as well? How do our listeners, our backwoods listeners, how do they kind of keep their finger on the pulse of these legislative issues going on?
We also have a podcast that comes out every Friday, and we interview a legislator. We go back and forth between Republican, Democrat, and it's whatever podcast app you use. We're on all of the apps, and then we talk about whatever happened at the legislature that week. And we talk about our clients very openly and what's going on with them. So if you want to just keep up on fire issues, we talk about that as well.
Yeah, and a lot of your friends we've featured. John Bell's been a guest. In fact, he was a guest host one week. Jason Sane has been on. Todd Johnson, another bill sponsor. Vicky Sawyer, Jim Perry.
I guess I didn't say the name of the podcast.
The Do Politics Better podcast is the name of our podcast. Yeah,
I like it too.
Yeah, Do Politics Better. You know, it kind of goes back to that conversation we had with Scott and Josh early on, is that, you know, we're not in the game of picking this party or that party. We only talk about issues, and if you are friendly to firefighters, then firefighters are going to be friendly to you, and that is how we approach down at the General Assembly. You know, I know listeners out there, you got Republicans, you got Democrats, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, I just want to get stuff done, and I know you guys want to get stuff done. When that siren rings or that bell rings, it's not a Republican fire or a Democratic fire.
Correct.
It is a fire. It is a medical emergency, and you guys respond.
And to speak on that further, our members and our coworkers, when that bell goes off, it doesn't matter if you vote blue or vote red. It's irrelevant at that time, so it doesn't make any difference.
Or don't vote at all.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
That's right.
Do politics better. I like it.
Yeah. Check us out.
Yeah,
we do need to. We do need to. I mean, these kind of issues, right, should not be political. Firefighters should not die of cancer, and if they do die of cancer, they shouldn't die broke.
Right.
They shouldn't be riding a truck into old age because they financially have to. We need to help these firefighters retire with dignity. You know, they need protections on the job. It's just common sense stuff, and that's the way we approach legislators. You know, they come with their baggage, and we hear it out, but at the end of the day, we just want to get stuff done.
Yeah, and it is going to feel so good when we pass the presumptive cancer benefit, because God, we have been working on it for forever.
That's been a battle. It's been a battle.
You know, it's time.
Yeah.
It's past time.
Way past.
Yeah.
I'm ready to move on to other issues for firefighters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Thanks
Absolutely.
for doing this podcast, and keep this conversation going, not only about cancer, but love the conversations you're having about mental health and firefighters and taking care of yourself. The Matt Balance interview, I thought, was just excellent. We listened to the Ben Bob zine. Of course, Josh was on, but you guys are doing a great job. And I also am learning about firefighter lingo and culture. So yeah, that is kind of cool, because, you know, I've never done this work, what you do, and it's just great to hear you guys talk, that insider talk. I'm learning so much, and I'll text Matt or I'll text Scott, ask them what this means, but I get an answer like, I didn't even know what primary complete meant.
Nice.
And I texted Josh, and he explained it all to me. It's a great name of the podcast.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice. We appreciate you. We have to get y'all down to Wilmington in the real studio. You stand there for a little bit of time.
Yeah, you know, you'll have to beg us to get down to the best part of the state,
Right.
Wilmington, North Carolina.
It's
and
beautiful.
Your studio, by the way, is so, I mean, this is great too. We're here in the convention hall, but I love that brick studio and what you guys are doing. It just gives a good feel to it.
Thank you.
We got lucky finding it for sure.
Yeah. Well, keep doing this good work.
Appreciate it.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thanks
having us.
us.
Brian, Skye, New Frame, Do Politics Better. Primary Complete, SAFRE 2021. Appreciate y'all.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Hey guys, man, that was great.
That was
I'm
fun.
honored to be on the show.
Yeah, thanks for coming down.